What's going on, Excel fanatics? Welcome back to the Sumifs tutorial. Checked on the dog; she is great. I'm ready to get back into it. So if you haven't seen part one, we essentially just go through the first few steps from this tutorial here, walking through what a sumif is. So essentially, if you just noticing how there's north, south, east, west, and then north again, if I wanted to just know, the total of north here, right? If I highlight the whole row, it's not going to tell me, it's going to sum them all up. Another way to do that, if I click here, hold Control on the keyboard, and then click C6, that adds that up for me, right? So if knowing this formula in itself is very helpful for me to just quickly highlight what is the total of revenue for North, is really just bottom line what it comes down to. So yeah, let's just go ahead and let's continue with the tutorial from there. What are we up to? Rather than typing text inside quotation marks, you can use a cell reference for the region instead. So what it means here, so last time when we were going through the criteria here, the cell range here was B2 to B6. The criteria we wrote with quotation marks, right, because it was a word, but they're saying we don't need to do that. Instead, what we could actually do is just select the cell B9, which is essentially the same thing. But it's helpful if I wanted to change this now, which it'll show, right? So south. And notice that since there's only one south, the revenue equaled this. Right, so if there was two, then that would have added up just like what happened with north. And I guess that was it for... Yeah, I guess that was it for this section there. Okay, so let's say you need to sum up numbers over a certain amount. In this case, you don't need to include the regions in the formula at all. You just use a shorter sum-if formula. So you'll sum-if, where to look, what to look for. So select cell C12 equals sum-if C2, C6, B12. Yep, so if you can see, so the range it picked was the revenue here, and the criteria is going to be B12, so whatever we type in here is what it's going to be adding. Press enter. Select B12. Type in the cell B12. Greater than 2000. Okay, so this formula was a little different this time, where it wasn't, there was three criteria here in this one, right? So we gave them the range, the criteria to look for here, and then what to add up. This time we didn't actually use three, we only used those two. Notice how actually in the third one with these brackets here, is kind of an optional, when you see this in formulas in itself, it's kind of an optional input, so to speak. So in this situation, if I just read the question one more time, it was just say, let's say you need to sum up numbers over a certain amount. So it didn't even include anything about the region. It didn't care about the regions. It just wanted to add up all revenue greater than 2,000. So that would have been things like this, right? So 2,000, 3,000, 7,000. Those weren't the exact numbers, but you know what I'm saying. So what if we do that, just highlight on our own, using the control key, 13,675, 13,605. So that's kind of just a quick way to double check our work. So that's a good thing to know there, because when we made the cell B12 the criteria here, right? So just like we made the criteria as region up here. So when you use like a greater than or equals to certain amounts, that would fill in this sum-if. Because when you use an if function, you're establishing criteria, and you're giving it a situational formula, which is kind of interesting. So A1 to continue. And that's it. Okay, good. So only two parts for this one. This was really good and useful. I'll try to make more if this wasn't clear enough. And you can also download it for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you next time.